Hi guys. Hi guys, thank you for stopping by to share with Julie today. I hope you're having a fantabulous day today. It's rainy today, guys, really overcast. So I hope you can see me because I recorded a video earlier and I realized it was so dark. I didn't realize how dark it actually was. It's actually raining now, so I'm hoping that is not drowning out my voice. Yes guys, so I promised I would do a video on the fact that I have lost my period on a vegan diet. So basically, if you watch my earlier video, you realize that what led me to this was the fact that I developed fibroid tumors and it made my life hell. I mean, literally. The bleeding, the pain, the length of time of the bleeding, having periods, even up to 14, 15 days, my period would stop, and by 9 days time, 9 days time, it would start again, and I would bleed heavily. It was honestly, it was embarrassing times for me. It was really embarrassing times for me. And the pain that was associated with the periods, that was another headache. I used to literally live on Excedrin, ibuprofen. Oh my gosh. That was what I had to deal with. And so my journey actually began when I discovered Dr. Sebi. A friend of mine gave me a video, a neighbor gave me a video, DVD, and told me to watch it. It was, with Dr. Sebi. And that's where it started for me. It was like the more I listened to him, the more it made sense, the more I wanted to know, and that's how it goes. And so that's where I started making the changes, doing more research and making the changes in my diet, eliminating the meat, eliminating the dairy, eliminating these types of foods from the diet. I wasn't 100% doctor in everything that Dr. Sebi recommended, to be frank, but when it's certain things I was strict on, like removing the meat from the diet. I was strict on removing the dairy from the diet, and those I found to be, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be, to be honest. But anyway, so after I removed certain things from the diet, I then started incorporating more herbs. I read about the linseed or flax seeds, as some of you probably know it as, and I decided, even though I was reading two conflicting side of information where flax seeds were concerned. There were some people who said it has phytoestrogen properties. Don't take it if you've got fibroids. And then the opposite campus that was saying totally a different thing, opposite perspective. And I decided, you know what? I have nothing to lose. So I was going to take it. So I decided to start use the linseed too. And based on some of the herbs that Dr. Sebi spoke about, I put together some. The burdock was important. I think I had the burdock in everything that I did. I had the burdock, the dandelion, the mistletoe, and the red clover. I also had the red clover. I think the stinging nettle. I have to go look back at what I wrote down, but yeah, I used to take a combination of herb. Yellow dock too. Yellow dock. Yes, how could I forget yellow dock? So I decided to put more herbs in the diet, and also just try hard to keep up certain things, even though my diet wasn't 100% that great. But I felt better knowing that the meat was out of it and the dairy was out of it. And I found that my period started getting lighter. My period started getting lighter. Each month, my period was getting lighter. The bleeding was less heavy. It had become regularized. I was no longer having 14, 15-day periods. Because normally my period would go for 7 days. So I realized that my period just started flowing smoothly. It started flowing smoothly, lighter. I wasn't getting the pains. And the indication that I would sometimes get at the beginning of the period, they call it PMS, I was no longer getting those as acutely as I used to. And then my period just stopped. My period just stopped. It just stopped coming. It got less and less and lighter, and then it just stopped coming. And I didn't freak out, to be honest, and I wasn't even closely monitoring myself. I was just feeling totally great. I was just feeling totally great because it was the first time in my life, because all throughout my life, my period started when I was 13, which for me that is just too early. I should not have even started a period at 13, especially when I heard that many women's periods started at 17, 19. I was like, 13? Although I know more and more today, there are people who actually, younger women are starting their period younger. Young girls, 9, 8 are starting the periods, and it all came down to the food. Because I remember my friend actually at school, my good friend, she had started her period before me, and my younger sister started her period before me. So even though I'm thinking, oh my God, I got the short end of the stick here starting at 13, but the reality is that still there were a lot of females that I know that actually started earlier than I did. So it was all my life I had been dealing with this, with every month, the pain and the heavy bleeding, and I was relieved, to be honest. I wasn't freaked out by it. I was relieved. But then after it not coming for a couple of months, I decided to do some research. Because I didn't worry that, I might be pregnant or anything like that. I was basically I was single, so I didn't have anybody in my life, so I wasn't like worried to say, okay, could it be this, could it be that. I know that it was the change. I know that flat out it was all these changes that I had made. The result was that I lost my period. And so I started checking and trying to find out what is the general view of this. Is this normal? Am I doing something wrong or whatever? And I realized that, many women who turn to a vegan lifestyle experience this. And some women, it goes for a shorter period of time. Some women lose their period for a year, some for 2 years, some for 3 years, some for longer. But what I would say is that always make sure, if this is your situation, you're not having a period, just make sure that you're ovulating, and there are tests that you can do to make sure that you're ovulating. You want to ensure that you're ovulating. And you also don't want it to be the case where your body fat percentage has dropped, and that is the reason for you losing your period. So those are the things you want to just to be mindful of. But if those are not your problem, and some people will say, but Julian, you're too skinny. I know, Julian. I know, I'm Julian, but Julie is shortening for that. So if it was, people would say, you're skinny. I've always been slim, so it doesn't bother me. And in fact, the weight I am now is actually heavier than I have been many times before when I was eating meat and bleeding like crazy. And so for me, at this point, I am not worried about it. I don't fret. I don't worry. And at first, I used to like break. I used to, always, I was wondering in the very early stages because I wasn't sure what's happening. I used to wonder, oh gosh, suppose I'm somewhere and it just comes and and I'm not prepared and stuff like that. Although I've always have pads with me and stuff like that, but I find that I don't even think about that now. I don't think about that seriously, and it has come back in the last almost 3 years. It has come back a couple of times, and the circumstances under which it came back was once I was when I just came here, I was at my friend's house. I was staying with her for a while, and I began eating a lot of crap, ramen and a lot of breads and stuff, things that I, basically gave up to a large degree. I wasn't, not that I wouldn't have them, but maybe once in a blue moon. But I found that I was having these things regularly because it was easy and, it could cook easy. I wasn't in my own space at the time and so forth. So I wanted to do things that were, easy and quick. And I after doing that for a period, I realized, no, I've got to stop. And I decided that I was going to, cleanse. And I took the easy way out by just buying a Potter's herbal cleanse. And the Potter's herbal cleanse are some tablets there. They contain, let me tell you what they contain. They contain Cape aloes, senna, cascara sagrada, fennel seed, and dandelion. That's what they contain. And you take that to, help to cleanse. And so I decided to just get the Potter's herbal cleanse. And when I started taking that, it induced it because of some of the herbs, in particular the fennel seed, right? Being an immunogogue, it started the period because there are herbs that will make the period start. So that's what happened. So even though it cleansed, it did start it cleansing. It also made the period come because it had herbs in it that had immunogogue, that were immunogogue. So that was the case where that was concerned. And so that happened about twice, and it's 2 times that happened was with the Potter's herbal cleanse. Yeah. So that was it. So now I as I said, I'm not worried about it. As I said, just make sure that you're ovulating. That's one of the key things you want to ensure. And ensure that you're healthy. Ensure that you eat right as much as possible. I am not always perfect with my diet, but I do more good than I do bad. Let's put it that. Majority of what you eat. I love fruits, and fruits make up majority of what I eat. Second to that is vegetables, and then other stuff I will add in. So just make sure that you try to keep it as healthy as possible, and yeah, you should be okay. So I'm not worried about it. I hope you found this useful. Subscribe to my channel, like and share my videos. Don't forget, be the change you'd like to see in this world. Have a fantabulous day today. Ta-ta!